All right, hello everyone, welcome back to the stream. Good to see you all. Before we get into it, I want to remind everyone that Gunforged is available for sale. And also, if you're curious, I recently released a video on my channel going over the sales numbers so far for Gunforged. So if you're curious to see how well Gunforged is performing, you can check that out as well. But yeah, if you want to support my work, Gunforged is on sale right now for 30% off. So definitely give that a look. It's linked in the description below. I also have Udemy courses available for sale, which will teach you how to build a complete game in the Godot engine using either C# or GDScript. So if that sounds interesting to you, if you want to learn how to use Godot, then I would recommend checking those out. And so would thousands of other students. I don't want to brag, but got lots and lots of 5-star reviews on those. So that's a great way to support me as well. And also you can like the video, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff if you prefer to support me that way. Everything is appreciated, even something as small as just liking the video. All right, so what are we going to be doing today? That's a good question. So I'm basically just going to be working on the game loop some more for this card, auto battler, necromancy, alchemical, medieval science themed game here. And there's a lot of things that I want to do actually. I want to start building out the human faction, which will be the enemies that you fight, just to add some thematic flavor, some additional thematic flavor to the game. I also am going to be working on the progression system a little bit. So getting the enemy boards that are generated to be a sensible difficulty, and then also enabling all the different types of events that the player can engage in. I also may be thinking about adding an enchantment system today. I'm actually very tempted to do that because that's going to be a major part of the game and it's one of the events that I have to fill out here. So I have to be careful here because I don't want to just build out a bunch of content too far ahead of time before I sort of have a good handle on the loop. But I do think that I'm not going to have a good idea of how the game is feeling unless I can add some amount of variety to it. Because a big part of the game is going through, doing the combat encounters, and then selecting the events that you want to use to power yourself up. And like, it's hard to see how the game is going to feel and look without some of those elements in place. So yeah, so anyway, that's what we'll be doing today on the stream. I'll show you what the game looks like right now, and then we'll get into it. So let me click begin on this. Hello, Apdial. Welcome. Good to see you here. Hello, Nayet. Welcome, welcome. Hello, Ryan. Good to see you as well. Craig, welcome back. Good morning to you as well. So yeah, I guess I'll, just for those that aren't aware, for those who are just tuning in to this sort of stream series for the first time, this game is a grid, it's a collectible card game, kind of, with these cards. They each have abilities, like the Skeleton Warrior deals damage, but it's also a grid inventory management game where you have a limited space on your grid here with which you can organize the cards, and some cards affect cards around them. So for instance, this incense reduces the remaining turns of adjacent minion cards by 1. So it's basically an optimization problem. You want to organize your board in an optimal way such that it out damages the enemy board. And it's an auto battler in the sense that once you've organized your board, you click begin, that's it. You don't have any control after that point, and you just watch the battle play out. So it's a mixture of all those kinds of genres. And then after you defeat an enemy, you'll get your choice of like booster packs here, and this tells you, okay, so this is more minion cards, so I'm going to select that. I'm going to get my booster pack, and I've got 2 minion cards here, the Corvid and the Skeleton, but I'm also getting an alchemical / ritual item here, which is the embalming fluid, so I can take one of those if I want. And then I'm presented with events that I can choose here, so I can increase my board size, add an enchantment to the card, or increase my max health. In this case, I think I'm going to do a board size increase, and that just increases my board like that. And now I'm fighting this skeleton, and this skeleton actually has an increased tier, so it's going to do 4 damage to me. And I don't know if I'm going to survive this because I don't have any other cards, but let's see. I think I will survive it. I think I will. Let's see. Oh, maybe not. No, I'm probably not going to survive this. Shoot. So that's a problem. But anyway, so as you can see, the game has a sort of like medieval alchemy, medieval science, necromancy kind of feel to it. And so I'll just be leaning into that theme quite a bit. But yeah, still got to figure out what I'm going to be doing about this situation here. So it's a roguelike, meaning that it's, it's got the typical roguelike things where you can get power increases and all that stuff. But let's see. I'm thinking that you'll have a certain number of lives. So when you die, it's not necessarily the case that the run is over at that point. It may just say, oh, you lost that one. You've got 2 more defeats left or whatever, or you got 2 more lives or something. And then it just let you continue on. So give you some grace here where you can lose an encounter and not necessarily be done with the run. I still have to figure out how that's going to work, but it doesn't feel entirely good here that, I only had a limited amount of cards. I guess that's kind of up to me choosing a bad card here. This embalming fluid. I maybe should have chosen something smaller. So maybe that was just my mistake for choosing a big card right away. Anyway, I got to play test it a little bit more, but when I die, I actually have no way of like recovering here. So that's another big thing that needs to happen is I need to figure out what to do about dying. I think I am going to do a lives system. So add a lives system, because then I can have events, which is like restore 1 life, right? So you could potentially do that. Add a lives system for handling defeat scenarios. But that's not what we're going to be focused on today. So let me restart this. So last night I was working on the board progression and I came up with this. Well, let's see. I came up with this scaled board configuration model here. And what this does is so a board configuration model is one of these JSON files. These are basically pre-made configurations of enemy board layouts. And the scaled board configuration model, what it does is it loads one of those configurations randomly based on a tier. So I kind of changed how it works. So I'm assigning a tier number to a board. And basically the board's default tier is the number of occupied cells on the grid. So basically how many cells contain cards divided by 2 rounded down. And that's just arbitrary. There's no rhyme or reason to that. And obviously as the board gets bigger and has more cards, the tier goes up. But the problem is that there's going to be an upper limit to the board size, right? Which means that there's an upper limit to the tier. But I want the difficulty to keep increasing. And so what happens is the difficulty is based on the number of combat encounters completed. It's going to choose a random board that matches the current tier. And at some point, the loot table is going to be filled with every board configuration because we're at a certain tier level. But then what happens is if that model's tier is less than whatever tier I'm targeting in terms of difficulty, then I'm actually applying this here, which is that while the model that I chose, the board configuration model that I chose, has a tier that's less than a target tier, I am going to upgrade or increment the tier of a random card on the board. So what that does is that makes the board more difficult without changing the layout because it's increasing the power of random cards. And I really like this solution because then I can basically just design a bunch of board configurations. I don't have to do anything to them. I don't have to assign any like difficulty level to them or whatever. I can just design a whole library of enemy board configurations that make sense. And then this algorithm will choose the random board layouts in accordance with, what's appropriate in terms of difficulty, and then it will just increment the tiers of the cards. Now, I may want to add another thing in here, which is that I probably want to cut off boards that are below a certain size at some point, because the way that this works now is it prevents large boards from appearing early on, but it doesn't prevent small boards from appearing later on. So I'll probably want to do sort of a check there as well. But I like this approach so far. And it's just a matter of making sure that it feels good. And of course, the enemy health also increases depending on the combat combat encounters are completed. So it starts at 10, and then I believe it chooses a random range within a certain range as the combat levels increase. So the health is not necessarily going to be predictable. More ritual cards, more minion cards. So let's do minions here. Let's take the Viper. Increase board size, max health increase. Let's do a max health increase. We'll do 5. Okay, we've got this board. So that's 14 health there. And yeah, I'll probably want to add like a speed increase button here, or like a skip auto resolve encounter button. Which is all possible, I just haven't added that yet. And there we go, boom. More alchemical cards. Let's see here. Incense, embalming fluid, alembic. Let's do this. Increase board size. Let's do increase board size. I would like to use the Viper, but I don't have enough room yet, so... Can I use the Alembic, though? That may be a mistake, but let's see. Yeah, probably not a great use of the Alembic here, but that's all right. Am I going to win? Ooh, I think... am I going to win? Let's see. Yeah, I'm going to win. Boom! With 1 health to spare. More ritual cards. Let's take... Ooh, Phylactery. Do I want to take the Phylactery? Yeah, I think so. Increase board size. There we go. Okay, here we go. Boom. We're going to get rid of that. We're going to put this here. Phylactery is interesting. Every time poison is applied, the poison applied grows by 1. So we'll do that. And we got 2 Corvids here. Ooh, let's do this. All right, let's see what happens. So there's a lot of health here. The Corvids, they echo if there are multiple Corvids on the board. So that means they each attack twice. So this is actually going to be relatively difficult, I think. But let's see. Am I going to win? Oh, I think I might win here. Oh, maybe not. I basically have to win on this little series of turns here. Oh, I won! Yes! So that Phylactery grew enough because the Viper was applying 2 poison per hit here. Okay. Alright, let's see. Let's take this. And of course I can sell things too, so I can sell this and sell that. Increase board size. That's going to be useful, but I do need a max health increase. I'm going to increase by 10 here, so I'm going to use this blood currency. So now I've got 25 health. That's going to help quite a bit. We've got an axe. This will deal double damage because there's an adjacent minion here. So let's go ahead and see what happens here. I think I'll win this one. The Corvids were a little bit tough, but... So yeah, I just got to figure out what... how to make this progression curve feel really nice. Right now it's feeling like I'm ramping up in power a little bit too slowly, so I'm gonna have to figure out a way to resolve that, I think. Just get the game ramping up a little bit faster, but maybe not, you know. It's all stuff that I have to test, that's all. Another Phylactery. We could do a poison build here. Alchemize cards. So this is another big part of the game here. Alchemy allows me to combine cards together to gain a card that contains elements of both cards. So what I kind of want to do is I want to be able to use a Phylactery, but also potentially get this reduce cooldown here. And maybe we'll throw the health in there too. We'll perform the alchemical transformation. Okay, so here we go. This is what I was looking for. So now this Phylactery, it contains its normal ability, but it also reduces the remaining turns of adjacent minion cards here. But I can look at the other ones too. Okay, so here's this one. This one has all 3 of them. So I think this is the one I want to do. This is going to heal me. It's going to reduce the turns of remaining minion cards, and it's going to have that phylactery ability as well. So there's my alchemy there. And so now I have an extra space in my grid because this one's extra powerful. Now this is a tier 3 minion. So this is going to deal 6 damage to me every time. This might actually end up being kind of difficult, but we'll see. I think these phylacteries are feeding off of each other now, though. Yeah, so these 2 cards, the Lambone Ring and the Phylactery, are now buffing each other because they're each applying poison. There we go, yeah, that's a massive poison ramp up. Okay, that's great. So, yeah, I've got a massive, like, poison build going on here. Ooh, Scarab is a good one here. So deal 1 damage. So this one scales over time. So every time this executes, its damage goes up by 1. And so now that also counts as a minion, so now this Lambone Ring is providing that minion turn reduction to all of those cards there, and then I've got this Phylactery. This is really good. And I can increase my board size again. And I don't have, obviously, any cards to fill that, but we'll just take that board increase, and we'll go. Hello, Kurokaiden X. Ever looked at Shogun Showdown? I have not. Tell me about that game a little bit. Or is it a game? Hello, Karto. Welcome back. Not even close. Was that referring to a combat encounter I had? That gravestone digging animation is awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I'm really happy with how it turned out. The animations are an inspiration. Okay, I've got a phone call. 1 second. Okay, never mind, I missed it. All right, so let's see. What do I want here? I don't have a whole lot of cards in the game either right now, so it's kind of trivial to set up a really good build, but I'm going to take another Viper, actually. I'm going to take another Viper because now I've got the card upgrade here. I'm going to upgrade my Viper here. Card to upgrade, card to destroy, upgrade. Boom, now I've got a tier 2 Viper. So its damage went up and its poison applied went up. So I'll just put that back where it is. Now we're dealing with an 82 health board here. So this might actually be okay. So, now this one is 2 heals here. So, so this might actually be okay, where the enemy's health scales much faster than the player health. It all depends on how the player power is scaling, but I may also need to add some kind of, because right now the player health scaling is kind of just linear. You can either choose 5, 10, or 15 health increment. That may not be good enough though. And also there's not a whole lot of ways of gaining this blood. The only way to gain blood right now is to sell cards, but I'm not getting enough cards to sell. So there's a lot of problems here that need to be addressed. There needs to be better ways of getting blood and whatnot. I mean, I could even just reward blood as a result of completing a combat encounter or something. Yeah, I don't know. I gotta figure all this stuff out still. Let's see how this goes, though. I've got 25 health, but I've got a good amount of damage here. Also, this is bugged, so this is providing power when it shouldn't. So this is going to take a while. My poison build here is going to take a while to ramp up, but it should be all right. So you can see I've got 6 poison stacks there, 5, 4... 14, look at that. Yeah, when that phylactery ramps up, it really just chunks them. Nice. So yeah, that's the game. Not much going on beyond this. Obviously, I don't have a whole lot of cards in the game yet, and there's a lot of events that need to be added, but that's kind of how the game is going. So Scarab. I might as well take another Scarab. I can upgrade a card. Let's do that. Let's create the tier 2 Scarab. 111 now. All right, we'll do this last one and then I'll get into some actual work here. Would be very good for you to get some good ideas for the project as a solo project. I think you can get it done. Shogun Showdown is a card-based rogue game where samurai ninja theme battle. Pixel art that is very unique, and the game was a big hit. Oops. Shogun Showdown. Oh, I see. Am I winning? Oh, I won. Nice. Shogun Showdown. Okay, I'll have to look into this. I think I saw this on the Steam store one day, but I didn't... I'm not totally, like... the sort of, like, Japanese Shogun style thing isn't a very appealing theme to me, so I kind of just skipped over it, but I should probably look at it for inspiration, for sure. Get vibes of the game, this one, and I think you should really take a look at it for reference. 3 minutes on watch the trailer. I think it would be a good inspiration for the game. Okay, I'll take a look. Can't wait for the first boss fight. Yeah, I gotta figure that out too. I rarely play card games, so I'm not sure what the standard approach is for providing feedback to the player. How will players know which card is granting bonuses to others? Is it the hover outline? Yeah, so that's something I need to figure out too, but yeah, like, you can hover over a card and it will highlight whatever cards it's affecting. But the problem is I don't have, like, you can obviously like right click into this and see all the details about the card as well. But I'm kind of like, it's going to have to be up to the player to some extent to just kind of like remember which cards are which. And I do have some indicators, like, I don't know if you can see this that well, but there are these 2 red dots on the right hand side of the skeleton. That's actually indicative of the damage. So it does 2 damage. So there's 2 red dots. And then of course there's these little plus icons here. This is all bugged. But there's these little plus icons here. And that indicates what tier it is. So for every tier above the first tier, there's a plus icon that just gets added along the top. So yeah. But I think, you know, because there's not a whole lot of space on the screen because it's a low resolution pixel art game, I think that it's going to be, you know, there's going to be a little bit of a demand put on the player to kind of like remember what the things do. But the nice thing about it being like not an asynchronous, but like just a turn-based auto battler is that I could add a pause, you know, or a slowdown or speed up or whatever, and the player can, you know, take stock of what's going on. And all obviously for the enemies too. If I just, can I upgrade? Wait, does this work? What happens if I upgrade an alchemized card? Does this work? So I'm taking this card, I upgrade it. Oh my gosh, it buffed everything. Wow, that's great. Wow, okay. I might have to think about that, but that's okay. So yeah, you can see this is a tier 4 Corvid. That's going to deal a lot of damage. But anyway, what was I talking about? Yeah, so there's this period of time before you actually click begin where you can inspect the enemy board, and of course you have your inventory. So as long as you're not in combat, you can always swap out your inventory. So if there's a particularly difficult board that you're facing, you can take stuff that's in your inventory and like reorganize your board to counter that if you want. But yeah, the outline system is good, but I must admit I do not see the two outlines for damage. Yeah, I'm probably going to remove that indicator, because here's a problem, which is that once you get to a certain damage level, each indicator, it like, you see this line of red dots here, that's just bugged, like it's just going off the card. I don't think so. It's not a very noticeable indicator, and also it's just not going to scale well as the damage scales. So I could either make each dot represent like up to 5 damage instead, or I could just remove it, because it's like, the other option is I could make it so that there's an abridged or abbreviated tooltip that shows up when you hover that can show just like very basic stats, right? So like if there's damage, it can just say that, like 5 damage. Like basically just take just this 10 damage here, right? And just put that in the tooltip hover and like exclude any special things like, well, it increases by 2 every time you execute. So you have like your very high level overview when you hover over it, and then when you right click into it, you get the details of like how exactly it's working. That's all stuff that I need to figure out, like I said. I might lose this one, actually. I don't think my damage is going to ramp up fast enough. Oh, maybe it will, though. That poison gets really strong. Nice. Wow. Okay. So anyway, that's enough of playing the game. There are some things that I want to do, which I already forgot. I actually think that this scaling for the enemies is working pretty decently right now, so I'm not going to play with that right now. I think I'm going to just leave that alone until I do some other things. I already forgot all the things that I said I was going to do. I do want to add an enchantment system. Shop is going to be important as well. There needs to be other ways of gaining the blood currency. So I will also want to... I was thinking about using the 4 humors from like humorism, which is sort of like a medieval science. It actually originated with the Greeks apparently, but the 4 humors being blood, black bile, yellow bile, and phlegm. I thought it'd be cool to use those as currencies in the game. But yeah, I gotta think about, there's a lot to think about here. I like what you're going for though. The damage indicators give a bit more character rather than relying on a tooltip. It just needs to be more noticeable to the player. Yeah, and that's the challenge, right? It's like I'm dealing with a very small resolution, so like I'm dealing with a small resolution and a limited color palette. So like those two things in combination make it hard to do a lot of things, but not impossible. Hello, Brendan. Do you plan on controller support, or is that something that you think about later, especially in a game with very natural mouse keyboard controls? Yeah, I mean, one of the pitfalls, I guess, of adding controller support at this stage of development is like a lot of the UIs are going to change, and what I've found, at least doing controller support for Gunforge, is that like making the UIs work with controller support ends up being like a very specific thing. Like you end up needing to write a lot of like very specific code to handle the controller input for the UI, and it would just be a waste of time to do that now and then refactor or rework a UI and then have to redo all of that logic. Like there is some kind of like out of the box support for controllers in Godot, but yeah, it doesn't end up working that well in practice. It's not just like a framework that just works, you know? So I will add that later. Well, I guess let's just do an enchantment system here. So we've got a card executes twice. What kind of enchantment do I want? So like a card executes twice. Maybe like reduce turn cooldown by 1. I want to do something like adds 1 poison damage to all poison items. Something like that. That would be kind of tricky to add. Do I want to do an enchantment system? This is like the worst part of the development cycle because there's so many different directions to go. A lives system would be really important. This is like one of the big things that I'm missing for getting the whole loop working, is that I don't have a way of handling player death right now. The game just soft locks at that point. So maybe that would be the most maybe that'd be the most impactful thing to add now. Yeah, let's do that. So what I'm thinking is we'll add a live system. If you die, it will be like you can resurrect and skip the encounter, or you can resurrect and fight again. I think I'll give the player that option. So in cases where you're like, oh no, I can't beat this board that the AI has put together, so I'm just going to skip it, right? Or you could say, oh, I could have beat them, I just need a better board layout, so you can get the option to fight them again. But that requires, I think, there needs to be a risk reward, right? There needs to be some kind of penalty for skipping the encounter, I think. I gotta think about all this stuff, I don't know. But let's do the lives system, I guess. Okay. Let's do this. Why I suggested the game too was that the animations and battle style felt interactive, so the enemies actually did animations and moved somewhat on a horizontal grid. Yeah, I'm not going to do that level of animations for this game. It's just going to be a board inventory management game, like Backpack Battles or whatever. I mean, I know Backpack Battles has like characters, but I'm not going to go that far. Hello, Neozoid. Maybe you have some type of crystal or whatever that holds pieces of your soul. Yeah, I'm thinking about that, yeah. Maybe if you skip, you lose 2 pieces. Yeah, something like that. I gotta think of a good thematic way to do that. Like a resurrection stone or something, I don't know. Anyway, so let's just create a private int lives remaining. We'll set this to 3 by default. So on player board died. How do I actually want this to work? On player board died. Well, we obviously want to... Let's do this. Let's create a new state for it. State machine.add states. State player died. Enter state player died. Okay, so enter state player died. Create enemy board. Scaled board configuration. So we need to save this. We need to store this board configuration so that we can restore it after the player selects. Yeah, let's see. Okay. Do we have a reference to the enemy board here? Yes, okay. What do I actually want to do visually here? Do I want to fade out the player board? What if when you die, you lose some of your humors? If you replay the board, you can try to recover them. If you skip, you just lose them forever. Yeah, that's like a good idea. That's kind of like a Souls-like thing, right? Kind of. All right, we're gonna unfortunately have to sit through this. That's fine. So I think what would make sense is fade the player board out on death and say you died here, resurrect or whatever. Keep the enemy board here and just heal it up. Okay. All right. Oh, goodness. Is player board dead equals true? Emit combat ending. On queued combat handled. If enemy board is dead, let's do this. Else if is player board dead? Fade group component, play fade out. So I can't kill the player board. It's not something that I can do. Async task, fade out, await fade group component that play fade out. We're probably going to want a fade in. Player board dot fade out. Lives remaining minus minus. We want to do this. So we always want to clear the statuses. We always want to clear the statuses. We're going to want to do this for the enemy board as well. Actually, we'll do this after. Yeah, we'll just do that after. Okay, so anyway. Heal to full, change state, state booster. That's not right. Okay, wait. State machine dot change state, state player died. We're going to go into the state player died here. So if I go to my game UI, we've got this left half container. I may want to merge these things, actually. You died. A random card for your inventory was destroyed. Yeah, that would be... I mean, it could be like... there could be some kind of cost to resurrecting, right? So instead of having a lives counter, it could be like, oh, here's a sacrificial altar, or whatever you need to do. And like, at first it's like, oh, maybe you get like a free resurrect. So like at the sacrificial altar, you just click it and it's sacrifice and you get resurrected. But then, like, every time you die, it could require bigger and bigger sacrifices, right? So it could say, oh, well, you know, now you need to pay 10 blood to resurrect, right? Or now you need to, you know, or maybe there's a grid and it's like, choose 3 cards to sacrifice or whatever, and you got to put 3 cards in the altar and then you click resurrect and they get destroyed, right? That is very interesting. So there is a punishment for dying frequently. And every time you die, you increase. But then there's also a strategic element to it, which is that if you know that you're dying or that you know you have a high likelihood of dying, you can like keep cards in your inventory that you can sell or otherwise. Yeah. Yeah, LLMs are useful for brainstorming and all that. I think I kind of like the sacrificial altar idea. It fits very well thematically. If there's a ritual you need to do to resurrect, and it gets increasingly difficult, and then there could be events. Like there could be an option later in the game to reduce the difficulty of the resurrection ritual. I kind of like that. Very curious. I'm going to rework some of this stuff here. I don't know, play container. This is such a bad name for it, but whatever. I'm over it. The benefit here now is I can do this, though. Oops. Why does that look bigger? Did I do something wrong here? Did I change the stretch ratio here somewhere? Oh, I did. Oh, shoot. Do I need to do that anymore? Wait, I might not need to do this anymore. Yeah, I think it's fine because now these are only occupying that chunk. I was doing that to offset this padding over here, but that's fine. Okay, so this is all good now. Board containers. So this is all laid out real weird. All of this stuff is just for health bar positioning, so that's fine. Okay, half containers here. Oh, OC. Oh, wait, I already said, yeah. Hello. Wait, did I say hello to you? I think I got your profile picture confused with Adam, so I thought you were the same person. Welcome to the stream, OC Richie. Good to see you again. Okay, so this left half container is where we'll do like the resurrection ritual here. That sounds so metal. Resurrection ritual. Here's the other thing I can do. If I put this in here, now I can center that begin button. Okay, anyway, let's go ahead and create a new scene for the resurrection ritual. I'll just call it resurrection container. Scenes, UI, new folder, resurrection. Button. I'll just add a simple button right now. I'm mostly just interested in getting it working right now, and then maybe we'll do some art for it. What am I doing? Resurrect. Okay. And we can also add like a label, I guess. You died. Maybe we'll use some better language for that later. We're going to need a script for this, so I'll just go ahead and add a script right now. And of course, I need to go to scripts, UI, resurrection. Hello, Mycoon Dev. Welcome back. Good to see you again. Always good to have you here. Game.ui.resurrection. Okay. Game UI. We want to do resurrection container in there. Public resurrection container, create resurrection container. There we go. This is going to be in the left half container though, so I need a left half container. And then let's go in here, node button, on button pressed, signal, resurrection pressed. Okay. We're going to need to create state machine. Health event state machine. Let's do a resurrection. It's not really an event, but I think it'll be fine. Just copy this, paste it here. Okay. Actually, this might not work. Because I need to know, do I want to do this? Because what happens if the player doesn't have the ability to make a sacrifice? There's gonna have to be like 2 buttons. You died button, so let's do resurrect button. This might not end up working from a gameplay perspective, but we'll try it. Die button. Accept final death. What did I call it? Oh, die button. Thank you, Mycoon Dev, for the €1. Very much appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. Very generous. Thank you so much. You guys are too generous. All right, let's see. On die pressed. So the problem with this is I have no way of notifying really that that this die button gets pressed, but let's just we'll worry about that in a second here. Maybe I don't want this to be an event state machine. Let me think. I guess I could add a specific signal in here. Die pressed event handler. That AI is so good about knowing what I want to do. Sweet. So in here, what I would do is I would do the same thing, except I would do emit signal die pressed, like so. Okay, so let's go back to our run manager now. Enter state player died. We're going to do var resurrection event state machine equals new resurrection event state machine. Add child resurrection state machine. I'm going to actually do this. On event resurrection finished. Resurrection state machine on event die finished. These are not really events, I guess, but whatever. Whatever. So I probably want, so event state player died. So we're going to set up the resurrection. What I probably want is I want to do a void enter state player resurrected. So that way I can reset everything. So this is where I would say enemy board.status component.reset or clear statuses, player board.status component.clear statuses, player board.fade in. Do I not have a fade in? What? What? Okay. Can I do an async here? I should be able to. Await player board.fade in. Enemy board.heal to full. Player board.heal to full. Is player dead? Is equal to false. What else do I need to undo? This lives remaining. I'm not going to use that anymore, so I don't know. Player board fade out, state machine, state player board died. That's going to set this up. On event resurrection finished is going to go into the, this is going to go to state player resurrected. What did I call it? Oh, I don't have a state player resurrected yet. Okay. These need to be added up here. State machine dot change state combat preparation. So we're just going to go back into that combat preparation state after resetting all the combat state here. And yeah, let's see. This here, throw not implemented exception. Okay. Let's see what happens, I suppose. We're gonna make this easy to test. I don't know why that happens. Am I just pressing the wrong... Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, board. Just turn that down to 1. I'm sure this is going to break, but we'll figure out where that happens. We'll figure out where that happens. What should happen is when I die, the board will fade out, the resurrection thing will show up here, and then, oh, you know what? I think I did. No, I'm good. And then what should happen? Why did this get reset? Okay, hold on a second. Set max health here. I'll just do that here. Okay. So I should see that resurrection thing. When I click resurrect, I should fade back in, and then I should be able to go back into the combat. So let's go. You died. Okay, so that's working. Obviously, I need to change this. This needs to be shrink center, shrink center. Okay, resurrect. Everything gets reset. I should be able to go again. What is that? Did this somehow get put behind? How did this get put behind that board? That's weird. Okay, hold on. Just restart. Maybe I wonked something up. Seems to be working though. I don't know what that kind of flicker was over there. I don't know if you saw that. But it looks like I can re-enter this state now. Resurrect. Yeah, there's like a flicker happening there. Oh, is it creating multiple copies of the enemy board? That might be happening. Yeah, I think that's what it's doing. That's what it's doing. Okay, it's creating multiple copies of the enemy board, because when it goes state player resurrected, here, it's clearing the statuses, it's going to state combat preparation, it's creating the enemy board again. So, I actually don't need to put this here. Show begin button, create enemy board. Do I want to... Okay, I'll just change that create enemy board to create enemy board if not. Well, let's do this. I'm trying to think if I need another state for this, if I should use another state. I don't think so. Yeah. So I think it's just creating multiple copies of the same board. Resurrect. I'm gonna try to do some damage now and make sure that the enemy gets reset. Its damage or its health gets reset. Resurrect. Okay, so I think that loop is working. So, yeah. Now the question is, do I still want to allow the player to skip a combat encounter? I guess I need to think about this a little bit more, but I like the idea of having an increasing cost to resurrect, like through an altar or something that you have to sacrifice things. Yeah. How about you accept your fate for the die button? It fits with the game's theme, of course. Yeah, something like that. I think what I'll have is I'll have like an altar art here and then you can like add cards to the altar or whatever, and then like offer, and maybe there could be like the board burns away or something. That'd be kind of cool. Or there could be another option down here, which is like, you know, a coffin or something. But I'm more thinking right now about the mechanics of this, like increasing cost of resurrection. I might as well, I'm thinking I might as well make it easy on the player. Well, the other question is, do I want to allow players to skip a combat encounter? That's the thing. So in this paradigm, right now it's just you get to just try the combat encounter again. But like the question is, what happens if there's an encounter that you just mathematically can't beat? Obviously, the ideal solution to that would be to kind of make sure that can't happen from a game design perspective. But I don't know if that's realistic. I think that it's possible that there's just going to be enemy boards that you haven't properly countered, and so it's just not going to be possible. And so I probably want to let the player skip those encounters, I think. There could be an extra cost maybe associated with, or I could just do what I was talking about earlier, where like you offer your resurrection and then you get an option. You can say, okay, retry the combat encounter or skip the combat encounter, like resurrect and retry or resurrect and skip. Maybe that's just the way to do it. So you have to pay a cost to resurrect. You have to pay a cost to keep going, but you can choose whether you want to do the combat encounter again or skip it and lose out on the rewards that might be associated with it. That's another thing too. Like one of the things that the Bazaar does is that you can enter combat encounters that are of varying difficulty and they have different rewards. So if I want combat encounters to reward awards, maybe I need to give the player a choice as to what board they want to fight. That's an interesting concept. So that could be a game design solution to the problem of what happens if there's a board that you just mathematically can't defeat, giving the player a choice of what board they want to fight, but have the boards give different rewards based on the difficulty. That is an interesting concept. Might have to play around with that. That would be an interesting thing. But let's get some like resurrection stuff built, I think. So I think this is good. Add resurrection loop. So maybe I'll draw up like an altar or something and then implement that in the game and see if we can get like a nice like requirement in place for sacrificing cards. I think that would be good. So let me go ahead and do that. But before I get into that, I'm going to take a quick break. Actually, this break might be a little bit longer, might be like 5 minutes because I have to return this phone call that I missed. So give me just a couple minutes to do that and get a refill on my drink and all that good stuff. And then when I come back, we'll draw up an altar that can be used for this kind of sacrifice thing that I want to do. And then we'll just go from there. And I do think that I want to be able to give the player control over which board to fight. I think that would be cool. So I would change my board generation here. Where is that pick? Enemy board configuration manager. So maybe instead I could give, maybe I just choose one of each tier. So I choose one at the min tier, I choose one at the max tier, and I choose one at the target tier. And I just generate those 3 options. And that's kind of like what the Bazaar does. You have like a weak enemy, a medium enemy, and a hard enemy to fight. But then they, like I said, they give different abilities. So if I did that and I also showed like what the enemy health is, which cards are going to be on that board, and what the rewards will be, I think that would be actually really good. Anyway, we'll focus on the resurrection stuff first. But yeah, give me 5 minutes. I'll be right back, and then we'll continue on with that work. In the meantime, please check out the links in the description below. Gunforged is on sale right now for 30% off. So if you want to support my work, that's a great way to do it. All right, I'll be right back, and we'll get right into this. All right, I'm back. Sorry for the little bit of an extra delay, but we're all good. So let's see. Let's draw an altar. Do I have, yeah, I have the screen reference here, which is nice because then I can use this to draw everything to scale. So I'll copy this. Assets. Where do I want to do? Oh, in the UI probably here. Guess I'll call this Resurrection. Resurrection.asprite, okay. Alrighty, so just gonna take this, fill that in. All right, so let's do an altar here. How do I want to do this? I think what I wanted to do is, let's see. I'm going to use this as a reference because the grid is going to appear above it. So do something like this. Okay, I think that'll be good enough. I think that will be good enough. Oops. Do something very basic here. Something very basic. Might be a little bit too big. Okay, I can round off those corners a little bit, I suppose. I don't know how this is going to end up looking, but we'll figure it out. We will figure it out. Yeah, I don't know. Probably gonna stretch my art skills here, just drawing a freaking table. Howdy, ultra wide monitor. Oh yeah, that's kind of what it looks like, huh? Once I add the shading, it won't hopefully look like that. I don't know, we'll see. We will see. I was thinking like I'd add like a red strip here. Probably needs to be a little bit skinnier. I don't know, I'm just kind of playing around with it right now. Wait until some inspiration comes to me, I suppose. Just playing around with it right now. This does not look ratty enough, if you know what I mean. I think I might need to add some chunks into it or whatever. Probably not uniform, or symmetrical rather. But if we add some chunks like that, that looks pretty good. And then we can do the same down here. Cool. I almost feel like this should be the default color. Well, maybe not. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out exactly how I want this to look. This whole leg here does not look good to me, so maybe I'll fix that. Maybe I'll fix that. This looks kind of weird, being the way that it is. It's a little bit wider up here. So I'll just cut that down. Okay. That's pretty cool, I suppose. I wonder if I should do something like this. Or maybe, you know what I might do actually? This might look okay with this color. No. Maybe here though. Okay. The Necromancer is for sure an RGB gamer. For sure, yeah. Hello, Camillo. Welcome, welcome. So I'm not entirely in love with that color. Maybe orange for the altar. This doesn't look good either. It's supposed to be like stone, but I don't really have a stone color. So I kind of have to make do with what I've got. I think the big thing to figure out is what the legs will look like. I think that's going to be a big thing. I don't know. I don't know. We'll leave that alone for now, I suppose. Candles on here would be good, but I need to figure out what the legs should be like. Maybe kind of looking at this. Something like this would be cool. But I was looking, I guess, mostly at this. Maybe just two pillars underneath. Although something like this would look cool too. That looks more like an altar actually, so let's try that. Let's see. I'm just gonna take that, do it like this. And then over here, I should have done that. Maybe move them in a little bit. Oh, dang it. Okay, is everything aligned? No. Okay. All right, all right. And this is 3. Dang it. I keep forgetting to turn on the, whatchamacallit. The symmetry. It's fine. It's fine. Okay. Just kind of doodling right now. I don't know. We'll see what happens. We will see what happens. Okay, that looks a little bit better, but what I might do is move this over a little bit. These pillars kind of look terrible. No offense, though. Okay. All right. Hello, Damien. Welcome back. Good to see you. All right, so this is, I guess this is kind of turning out all right. I think I want to reverse how this looks, though. I think I want that to go out like that. Yeah, that looks better. Okay, and then I'm going to turn on... I keep forgetting to turn this on. All right, I think we're getting there. I think we're getting there. This definitely needs to be more depthified here. And this up here too. Now these obviously, do I want to do, maybe I want to make those more flat actually. Yeah, I don't want that. I want them to be almost like this. But maybe skinnier. I think that's the way to go. Yeah. I think that's the way to go. I almost don't have enough room here. That's probably all right. Well. That's kind of annoying. It's all right. Okay, that's looking better, I guess. Just adopting their greeting, that's funny. Actually situated in Denmark. Now the question is, what do I do? I mean, this is looking all right. I almost think everything needs to be like a darker shade though here. So let's do this. I'm gonna take this, make it dark. Take this, make it darker. Take this, make that dark. Okay, that looks better. Now we're going to do the cliche. Going to do a skull here. I'm still not that great at drawing skulls, so... Whatever. Whatever. It's gonna look a little bit weird. Looks kind of like a cat. Well, whatever, you know? That's just how it goes. Oops. That looks better, I think. A little bit better. Looks a little bit better. All right, let's see if we can make the altar look a little bit more rugged, I guess. I don't want to do perfect symmetry either. Spending a lot of time on this altar. This better work. Do you prefer to draw freely or do you contain yourself to pixel sizes? I mean, I have like a rough... I don't know what you would call it, like a rough pixel size in mind. But I don't... I just try to make everything look good in relation to each other. That's basically the only concern that I have. So I'm not like dogmatic about saying it needs to be this size. So yeah, but I just try to make everything look good in proportion to each other, that's all. So that's why I have this screen reference here, which is like, I can kind of see what the relative sizes of everything is. So like this ends up being, you know, looks like about 3.5 grid sizes tall. Just kind of random, you know, just kind of random. I might make this extend. Oops. Nice little A-sprite trick. If you hold control, it shows you the bounding box of whatever you're drawing. And then it also shows you the line of symmetry. So you can just move that symmetry right where it needs to be. I totally did not just figure that out recently, so I've always known that. Let's see. I think that looks fine. I'm kind of wondering if this should be moved up. I think it should be. So to make my life easy, oops. That looks better. This whole section here looks a little bit like it needs some roughness here. Should I add a line there? I guess so. That actually looks okay. These look a little bit too clean now down here. So how am I actually going to do that? how am I actually going to make that look all right? Ah, shoot. That's kind of a good way of doing it, I guess. Just put random doubles here with a slightly different color. Makes it look a little bit less uniform. Okay, I think that looks fine. Actually, I kind of like that, so do this. All right, it looks a little bit more run down than it otherwise would, so that's fine. We want to make these look a little bit more rounded here, though. Okay, and now the other problem is that I wonder if I should add an extra line here. A breaking, what would I call it? Yeah, I think that looks fine. Yeah, we'll do that. So here. Yeah, I think that looks fine. I wonder if I should add one here too. Let's see. I don't like the lines that I deleted there. So we'll keep those ones, but here definitely needs to be deleted. Okay. Thank you, Snupbill, for the IDR 20,000. Very generous. Thank you, thank you. Very much appreciate that. I love it. What is the altar going to be used for? So this is the resurrection. So the kind of resurrection mechanic that I'm thinking of is that when you lose an encounter, you can have the opportunity to resurrect. And at the altar, you're going to have to offer a sacrifice. So I haven't yet to decide. I think it would be kind of interesting if you had to offer either a blood sacrifice, meaning that you spend some of your blood to resurrect, or there will be like a grid floating up here where you can sacrifice cards to be able to resurrect. So probably the first resurrection you do will be free, but then subsequent resurrections will increase the cost. And so you'll need to sacrifice more and more to be able to resurrect. That's kind of what I'm thinking. So anyway, seriously impressive how you can just rustle up some good art like that, some god art like that. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I mean, I didn't really know how the altar was going to turn out, but I think it turned out really good. Yeah, the color palette is definitely doing a lot of work here, so very much love it. That. So yeah, there's our altar. So cool. Thank you, OC Richie. So yeah, I'm gonna have to, let's see, altar. So I think I can delete this now. I probably should outline this, but I don't really want to. Maybe I should. Okay, So there's my altar. Let's go ahead and save that. I guess I should have called it, well, we'll just call it resurrection. Altar, maybe? Well, that's fine. Yeah. For the game Transistor, if you lose a life, you lose a skill, which can force the player to try new skill combos. Oh, that is an interesting idea. Yeah, I mean, I think I like the idea of having to sacrifice cards for the same reason, because if you're holding on to cards because you want to try a certain build, it may force your hand, you know, pun intended, to like, well, I was going to try this build, so I'm just going to go all into this build and get rid of these cards so I can resurrect. I'm sure it's just going to be something that I have to figure out. Yeah, it's just going to have to be something that I figure out as I play the game and do playtesting and all that stuff. Anyway. So let me actually commit what I have. Oh, yeah. Add alter art. Might as well commit that. So how do I actually want this to go? The other problem is going to be, how do I communicate to the player what you're supposed to do here? Because what I would do is I would add a board container here. Just trying to think what this layout is going to look like. I almost want this board's UI to be hidden by default. So it's not so cluttering. Okay. So this is going to be where it gets a little bit tricky. It's like, okay, if I want to allow the player to either sacrifice cards or pay some blood, what does that actually look like? Or maybe I shouldn't give them an option. Maybe it should just like, maybe you should just have to sacrifice cards. I don't know. This accept final death button. So there needs to be a way to say, no, I can't continue. I'm gonna just accept my death. But the problem is I don't want to make that. What happens if a player accidentally clicks that? That's gonna be bad, right? I could make it like a hold depress kind of thing or whatever. Don't really need to think about that right now, I guess. Okay, so let's see if we can get this to work, just at a very basic level. Disabled equals true. So what we need to do is we want to do node private board game.gameplay.board. Board inventory component dot card transferred dot card placed on card placed. We're going to do card transferred to card transferred on card placed. So let's just do this. Private int target card sacrifice is equal to 2. If board inventory component, there is no get card count. Get cards on board. Maybe I should have a card count. Let's see. Get card count. Yeah, so let's do this. We'll make it exactly equal to. Actually, resurrection button dot disabled is equal to oh, you know what the other problem is? Shoot, dang it. Well, there's a problem here, which is that you can't access the cards that are currently on your board. Because your board is hidden. Dang it. This is not going to work, is it? Oh well. Let's just keep going, I guess. Oh, I already have on card transferred. Why does it not like this? Oh. Board inventory component. What are you doing, AI? All right, well, we can just try this and see if it works. Yeah, let's just see what that happens. Maybe make it more motivating to continue fighting. Yeah, like, what are you thinking, NetK? So that art looks pretty good. Oh, I gotta... In here, I have to mark this as unique name. So I do this and this, boom, and that's gonna destroy the cards. What happens when the board gets freed? Am I doing something about that? No, so those cards are never actually being freed, I don't think. So I need to handle that. Well, I'll just do this. Get cards on board order by priority. Move the resurrection options over the enemy board. That way you can still show yours. Yeah, but that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense then, does it? I mean, I could do that. That would be an easy fix for sure. That's pretty cool, though. So as a proof of concept, it's kind of cool, but... Oh. Why is that disappearing when I add it? That's really weird. Oh, did I never free... Maybe I never freed it. Hold on a second. No, I am freeing it. Huh. Why is that not working? Why is that card never being added? Huh. That's weird. Oh, wait a minute. What is going on over here? Okay, obviously something is not working. Oh, did I never register? Oh, that's why I need to register the board. Hold on a second. I think I need to do this. This dot get board manager dot register board. I think I need to do that. I honestly should just automatically register the board, but that's fine. Can you sacrifice your God card? I should be able to. Yeah, it's just a card. That would be funny. Wanted to ask if your Godot utilities library is still up to date in use. Yeah, I'm using it right now. Is it up to date? I mean, there's some like Godot conventions that it's not following anymore because it's from like Godot 3 days, but it definitely works. I'm still using it, so yeah. Not sure about how this, but something that came to mind, maybe because the theme tonight claims you for now. You can't sacrifice the mutton chop of the gods. I can, look. Oh, it's still not working. What the heck? Okay, this is weird. There must be like a phantom board that still exists. Oh, I'm never unregistering the board, am I? But that shouldn't be a thing. Tree exiting, unregistered board. On card placed. Why is that happening? It works the first time, it doesn't work the next time it shows up. Interesting. Why is it not working? Unresurrect. I don't know why that's not working. The altar does look pretty good though. I like how that turned out. You're welcome, awesome rubbish. I wonder why that's happening. I don't know. I've got some bigger problems to figure out here with this though. Oh, wait, it's disappearing on the first one too. Okay. That is odd. What? Oh, you know what? Oh, wait a minute. Do I have to set the dimensions of the board? Board. I shouldn't have to set the dimensions, but maybe I do. Maybe there's a bug here. What's confusing to me is that it looks like that card is not being added. Oh, I know why. Yeah. I know why, I think. All of these things. Do I know why? Oh, maybe I don't know why. I don't know. Why is the board container... Okay, I think this needs to be ignore. Let's try this. I think the mouse events are being intercepted in a weird way. Ignore. Let's see if this works. This actually itself needs to be mouse ignore as well. Lurking still, Neozoid. Begin. Die. Why is this not working? That's so weird. What in the world? It works when I put it there. Doesn't work when I put it there. Huh? So if I go to my remote, resurrection container, board, cards, there it is. There's one card right there. But if I move it over, it disappears. But the thing is, the card still exists. I can still click it. But it's not in the... It's like not in the tree anywhere. Is it not in the tree? Why does it work there and there and there and there, but not there and not there? What in the world? Huh? Is this a problem on any other board? I'm at a loss here. If this was a problem with the board itself, you would expect this to also be an issue basically anywhere else. What in the world is going on? Well, that's not really a super important issue. What happens if I drop... Yeah, it's not even registering the card as on the board. So it's like the card is being dropped. Here it recognizes it as on the board, but when I put it here, it's not on the board. What is going on? It's not triggering the card transferred for itself, is it? I wonder if that's causing problems. Let's see. Hide the board when moving the card to debug, of course. Well, the card is... I think the card is being removed from the scene tree. So I don't think that's going to help. It is recognizing a transfer. But it doesn't... On card transferred. I'm actually at a loss for what's going on here. Obviously. Some other area layer hides it. I think it's a problem. I think it's an order of operations issue because I'm manipulating the card's position in the tree whenever it's switching between boards. Because basically if a card is on this board, it's a child of this board. But when I move it over to a different board, it needs to become a child of that board. So I think there's something weird happening when it detects that a card is moving from one board to another. I think what's happening is it's getting into an invalid state somehow where it's being removed from the board, but then never added to the correct board for some reason. Now, the problem is I don't know why that would be happening all of a sudden here when every other situation where I have boards like this, it works. So that's kind of the thing that's a little bit puzzling. It could be the case maybe that in my game UI, I still have some mouse ignore issues. No, it doesn't look like it. Tried to make the unholy sacrifice and broke the game. Yeah, for sure. Rejects my card, yeah. Is it a drawing order thing? No, it's not. Are the broken slots the ones that overlap with the usual player board? That is a good thought. Yes, that's probably what's happening. A JAMA. Yeah, you're probably right. It's probably being added to the player board. You're right. Because I'm fading out the player board and then I'm never like disabling input on the player board. That's a good call. That's a good call. So that's probably what's going on here. I need a way of preventing boards from having cards dropped during certain cases. Maybe the resurrection sequence should be its own screen. That is a interesting idea as well. I do need a way of disabling input on the board though, on a board. Yeah, that's exactly what's happening here. So that would explain why it's not showing up either, because the player board is faded out. So it still exists, it's just rendering as black. So it is getting added to the player board, it's just not showing up because it's black. Interesting. I like the altar. I like this resurrection idea. I just need to figure out how exactly I want this to work. If it should be its own screen or if it should show up here. It can't do this. I mean, we already decided that because you need to have access to the cards that are on your board if you're going to be sacrificing cards. Yeah, I'm gonna have to think about this some more. Well, all right, so oops, I spelled it wrong. Oh well. All right, I'm gonna end the stream there. I gotta go get some lunch and think on this a little bit more, how I want this to work exactly. But it's basically, I mean, it's the idea, the core concept is there, minus the bugs. So it is working, like the resurrection thing is working. I just gotta figure out, yeah, what exactly I want to do about that. I do like that altar. I'm going to keep that altar in the game regardless of what happens with it. If I move away from the resurrection altar, I might make it an event or something. But anyway, thanks everyone for watching. Thanks for being here. Thanks for all your help and chatting and whatnot. And I might be streaming tomorrow at a random time, so hit the notification bell if you want to be notified when that happens. I've got a new video out on my channel going over the sales of Gunforged. So if you're interested in that, check that out. I also have Gunforged available for sale, obviously, so you can check out the link in the description below to visit that. And also my Udemy courses are down there. So yeah, thanks everyone for your support. Thanks for watching. I hope you have a good weekend. And thank you all to the VOD watchers and lurkers out there. I know you're out there. I know you like these VODs. So thanks for watching. And yeah, I'll talk to you on the next stream, everyone. So again, have a good weekend, and I will see you next time.